All right, welcome everybody. Let's do this. So next part is use the quadratic formula for this one. And you see before the question was, how do we, find the roots of this when it doesn't factor? And when it doesn't factor, we could use the quadratic formula. So that's always the first thing we do is write the quadratic formula, right? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, okay? Now let's identify what is our a, our b, and our c. Here, our a value is 1. Our b value is 1. Our c value is negative 18, okay? And now all we have to do is just plug these numbers into this. And we got lucky that these numbers are just 1 and 1, okay? So here, let's see. So x is equal to negative, and then for now I'm going to be very OCD with this, but parentheses, right? So 1 plus or minus, okay, square root, okay, okay. Now this is what b is 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 18, and this is 2 times 1, okay. And now here what happens is we have what, negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared, which is 1, and what is negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, then negative 4 times negative 18 is positive 72. So we have 1 plus 72 over 2. And this is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 73 over 2. Now you see the thing is, if I try and do the square root of 73 in my calculator, so let's see, if I were to do the square root of 73. So you could take out a calculator too and do it, but here, second square root, right? And if I do 73, notice I get like 8.5440. Here, we just want to leave it as an irrational number. We're not going to leave it like this before, because remember in the last question, when we had the square root of 64, it was 8, and 8 is a real number, is a rational number. So we were allowed to use this, but we don't use the decimal form of square root of 73. So notice that it doesn't simplify. And then we're just left with this. So x is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 73 over 2, and x is equal to negative 1 minus square root of 73 over 2. And these are the two solutions, okay? And what does that mean graphically? Here, when we had this quadratic and we graphed it and we were like, oh, hey, look at that 0, negative 4.9697. You see, if I were to do this into the calculator, I think it'll be this one. This will be very close to that. Let's just take a look how, remember that number if you want, write it down. Let's put this into the calculator. So if I have second y alpha y equals negative 1 minus second square root 73 divided by 2. I got an error. Why did I get an error? Let's see. Alpha y equals n over d minus second square root 73 over 2. You see how, there we go. And you see how that number was very close to, to this one over here, okay? And yeah, all right. So that's how you use the quadratic formula. What I want you to do is try and do the next one by yourself. And the idea is you have to be very careful in the beginning, because when are you allowed to use the quadratic formula? Only when you have your polynomial when it's equal to 0. Notice over here, it's not equal to 0. So first, you need to make it equal to 0, right? Pause the video and try and do it by yourself. But here, let's say you want to see the solution. Here, we're going to do plus 2a squared and plus 2a squared. because we need 0 on one side to use the quadratic formula. So now we have 4a squared plus 9a plus 3 equals 0. Now if you're thinking, oh, mister, can't I use the, don't you remember this technique? Mister, can't I use the AC method to try and factor this? And I'll say, okay, fine. Let's use the AC method. Let's see if the AC method works. What's the first move? 4 times 3 is what? 12. And then you say, what two numbers when you multiply give you 12, but then when you add give you 9? Well, let's go through all the scenarios if you want, right? So how do you get 12 with multiplication? You use 12 and 1, negative 12, negative 1, 4 and 3, negative 4, negative 3, 2 and 6, negative 2, and negative 6, right? And is there any other combination? No. You see, we want the combination when you add them, they give you positive 9. Notice that this is 13, this is negative 13, this is 7, this is negative 7, this is 8, and this is negative 8. Notice that none of these combinations give you 9. So for this polynomial, it is not factorable using AC method. But just because it's not factorable using the AC method, it doesn't matter, because if we have a degree 2 polynomial and it's equal to 0, we could use the quadratic formula to find what are the values of a that when we plug it in, they give us 0. Okay? So what I want you to do is, now that we have this, find your a, find your b, find your c, and then plug it in, and then try and use the quadratic formula. Okay? So notice that here that your a is 4, your b is 9, and your c is 3. So now you just have x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so x equals. Now we just plug it in. What's the first thing we plug in? Negative, parentheses, 9, plus or minus the square root of parentheses 9 squared minus 4 parentheses 4 times 3. Okay. Yeah, okay, and this is all over 2 times 4. Okay, so now let's continue. This is negative 9 plus or minus the square root. 9 squared is 81, right? And let's just remember that. Remember, 9 squared is 9 times 9. Maybe I should have said that before, but minus 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48 over 8 equals, now let's see, negative 9 plus or minus the square root of, what's 81 minus 48? That should be 53 over 8. Okay, now let's see, what is the square root of 53? Is it a whole number? And if you do that in the calculator real quick, square root of 53, let's see, second alpha 53, notice that it's close to 7.2, but we don't want to leave it in a irrational form, so we're just going to leave it for now. In other problems in the future, we're going to be simplifying the radical, but for now, let's not get to that step just yet. We'll do that for tomorrow. But notice that you just leave your answer just like this. And can you simplify these two? Not really. So it's just, you have your two answers. You have x equals, so it's negative 9 plus square root of 53 over 8, and negative 9 minus square root of 53 over 8. And these are the two solutions. Okay, what I want you to do is, there are some questions in the room, but for homework tonight, I want you to go to Delta Math, and you will have some homework assignments to do. Best of luck, enjoy.